Welcome back to the Intelligent Builder podcast, sponsored by Plutus Agents. We help residential contractors and home builders eliminate the manual chaos in scheduling, client communications, and estimating so they can stop wasting time on admin, increase margins, and keep building with the same team. So if that sounds useful, connect with me on LinkedIn and DM me the word growth for a free growth consultation. So today, I'm joined by Ron Nussbaum. He's a Marine Corps vet, founder of BuilderComs, and the host of Construction Champions. Ron built in the field for over a decade before switching hats to building software that helps those in the field. His goal is to centralize client communication for builders, keep everything stupid simple, and only adding features that truly matter. So, Ron, it's great to have you on.
Hey, it is great to be here today.
Awesome. So, to start us off, could you just walk me through kind of what your day to day looks like and, between product, customers, and the podcast?
Yeah. So I stay a little bit busy, as you can foresee right there, with podcasts, customers, owning a software company. But in my day, I get up, I take my son to school, I drop him off, and then I go to the gym with my wife. And I come home and I eat breakfast and I shower. And that is about the most important time in my day, is that first couple hours, 2.5 hours after I get up before I even start working. And from there, I'm big on prioritization. Is I work on what needs to be worked on. I'm not afraid to block my calendar. Like, a lot of people think they just need to stack as much as they possibly can on there. I believe in doing as much as I can possibly can, but doing it in a smart way. So, like, if I'm really deep in product development and I don't want to record podcasts or do demo calls, like, I'm blocking my calendar so I can focus on that. Or reversal, like, I'll open my calendar up if I want to do more of the other stuff. So my wife knows a lot. Everybody around me knows, like, I live and die by my calendar. So, like, if it's not on there, it's not happening in my life. And I hold myself to a discipline with that. Is like, the calendar matters. And I always leave some flexibility in there, a couple hours a day where I have the ability to, say, pick up a meeting or do something like this. Like, we just talked last week and I had flexibility in my calendar to be able to do this. So that's what my day-to-day looks like. I stay very regimented, very disciplined, but at the same time, I let the needs of the company and our clients dictate where I'm focusing my time.
Yeah, I love that. Maintaining that routine in the morning, the disciplined routine, and then really focusing on what drives the business forward. That's exactly what a founder should be doing in the morning. That's perfect. You were telling me on our last call that it's easier to build complex software more than it is simple software. So can you just kind of walk me through like the recent product decisions you've been making where you've had to choose simplicity over that shiny feature syndrome kind of thing?
Yeah. So one of our backbones at BuilderComs is just building stuff that's stupid simple to use. And I know that can seem like a punchline. Everybody wants to say that, but, like, that's the number one thing I hear every day from our customers is, thank you for just building something that the buttons are where they should be at. And, like, that wasn't an afterthought. Like, when we were originally designing what at the end of September here will be our original version as we move into our new version, like, I put a lot of thought into it because I was building this for myself, for one, and it just had to work. Like, I knew, like, what I wanted was, I just wanted it to be like, if I could use Facebook, I could utilize this. And it's not necessarily about sacrificing functions and features. It's about the amount of time and effort that you're willing to put in to get the outcome that you want. Like, when you stoke something up in the software development land and it starts getting coded for some reason, and I'm not an expert in development, like, I'm just good enough to be dangerous. But for some reason, what ends up happening is it's super easy to build complex things, like to build something that is hard to use, but still does what it needs to do is a lot easier than figuring out how do we build something that's easy to use and just makes sense. What typically ends up happening is there's a lot more code and database schemes and stuff that goes into building something simple than goes into building what most software you see, which what do we always think is like, this is just overbuilt and just you can't utilize it. But so far in my experience of this word is what it actually is it's underbuilt because they weren't willing to take the time to say, that ain't right. It's not how it should be. We need to figure out how to make that. And it is just like, it is all encompassing. It's some of the most mind numbing things. Like when you've been working on a button, I didn't used to believe this. Like developers used to tell me like to change a button or to change a color, I mean, it takes forever. And I'm like, no, there ain't no way. There ain't no way. Well, I've now spent 4 hours working on the placement of a button within our software. And it's like, it's almost right, but you just got to keep going at it because just that stuff is a lot harder than just letting it end up where it just ends up in the code.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where what seems like it'd be so simple is really not. And then what seems like it'd be so complex is just so simple, which is the strange world of software development. Yeah, definitely.
It
So
is.
earlier this year, you were telling me that you opened the gates to a free plan. So what did
Mm-hmm.
you learn from discovering from real usage rather than just those traditional sales calls, say?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it might go down as one of the craziest things I've ever done. And at the same time, one of the most ingenious things is we knew we were going to have to work on our software. Like either the offer or the software at its core, what did that look like? Like we're this messaging platform. We had users, we had paying users, we're generating revenue, but I was having a real hard time getting people in the construction industry to speak and say, like, we're very much like, this is working for me. I don't have any complaints. I don't have any positives. I just don't want to talk to anybody. Let it do what it's supposed to do. And I was trying to figure out like what does the next version look like and how do I get it there? Like I'm now removed from working day to day in construction. So it's not up to me to sit here at the helm and be like, we should do this. Because I have no basis points to do that on because I'm no longer out there. I need our users to directly tell me. So one morning I woke up, I told my wife we're going to make the software free. I think this is our fastest way to get where we want to go. And I did that. And it worked out. Besides the fact that you wake up one morning and kink all your revenue, like it's worked out perfect because by doing so, I immediately opened these lines of feedback with our end user because now I'm providing them with a resource and they're not indebted to me, but like there's this little bit like if I reach out and I say, hey, you're using our software, we know it's completely free, but we did have a couple questions on like, what's your use case? How are you using this? What would you like to see? We found out they respond and they're even get on calls and tell you and explain. And we knew we were having a real churn problem. And one of the things that we were able to pinpoint is because we're a messaging platform the mass majority of all users are first-time tech adopters, they were realizing that software is really easy to use. And they all of a sudden like, well, if this is so easy, like I want more. How do I get more? And then they're shopping us around, which makes it harder to compete with the legacy players when people can be bamboozled and don't understand that that piece of software doesn't do what we do, how we do it and efficiently. They're looking at the grand scheme of things and now they're no longer software virgins. So it's like, let's jump in. I learned BuilderComs. I can learn this other piece. So I started to understand like our offer needed to have more and our clients wanted it because that's what I hear. It's like, why don't you have a calendar feature? Why don't you have more internal team communications? How come I can't present an invoice through here without having a third party in? Why can't I send payment? Like this stuff started just reoccurring. Like if you did this, I would utilize that portion of it too. And that's what we took that free that we made, it's a very elaborate free like piece of software, because we just took our free trial, eliminated that, and made our basic $97 a month plan free. Just said, boom, here, have this. I can't give away the unlimited version of it, but I can give away the $97 a month version. And it just opened the lines of feedback in a way that I had never seen. It allowed me to do cause, and it's what the new software is. Like, without doing that, the new version of BuilderComs doesn't exist.
Yeah, you said it could be crazy or ingenious. I think those words can be almost interchangeable with entrepreneurship. And it seems that worked out pretty well. So you've been having to kind of re-architect your software while trying to maintain that user experience being dead simple. So what are kind of the two hardest trade-offs that you found when making those decisions to re-architect? And also, who's your ideal customer?
Yeah. So, you know what? The biggest trade off is time, because I won't trade off the simplicity of it. And what it ends up doing is it just takes more time. The days get longer. We haven't pushed the release date at all because we just work longer. We just work like that's the true sacrifice. When you understand what you're creating, what the vision is, the non-negotiables, and for us, one of the non-negotiables is it has to be simple to use. And when you add more features, that becomes harder. Like, it just does. Like, inherently, the more stuff something does, the harder it gets to operate. But I'm really happy with what we have been able to create and we're continuing to build but it's time. Like, that's the biggest sacrifice, because we could say it's good enough, it's better than anything that's out there, but that's not the right answer most of the time. The right answer is, does this feel right or does it feel off? So, like, if we're doing anything and something feels off, like it just doesn't feel right, like it's super simple, it just seems like it is, but like you have this gut feeling, like that's not, like, it could be better. Like, let's go for better. Like, worded class is what we're building. Worded class simple. And a lot of times those two words, like, that doesn't go together in a phrase, because a lot of times when people think worded class, they think of having to be hard or not very complex. And that's why we want it worded class simple, where anybody that's ever used Facebook within a couple minutes can navigate through BuilderComs and do basic things and run their business. And that's where software is at. All ideal customer, it really spans the horizon of construction businesses. But to really narrow it down, like I had referenced earlier, we work with a lot of companies that have never used technology. It's actually 70% of our users. That's our ideal customer. Like, if you're looking to go from pad to pad to using software in your construction business, we're the simple piece of software that can help make that happen. We're here to walk alongside you. We build a very extensive YouTube training basis where all of our materials at, and we're adding on to all of that when it comes to how do we support our customers, knowing a lot of them, like, this is the first technology they're implemented in their business. So it doesn't matter how many employees you have. It doesn't matter what the revenue you have is. Like, if you're looking to make this shift and start digitizing your business, BuilderComs is the place you can do that. And you don't have to worry about, this is going to take me 6 to 9 months, which is the average time it takes a construction business to implement software into it. I can get this done in a couple weeks and be off to the races.
That's incredible. So your primary users are those new to tech. So what's a myth about construction tech adoption that you've seen that you keep hearing about?
Oh my God, this is my favorite question, man. It truly is, because I am going to give you an answer that is not talked about enough. We're early adapters in construction. We get a bad rap that we're not. But go look in the back of everybody's truck, or actually just look at the truck. It's the brand new model with all the bells and whistles. We have the brand new tools that just came out. There's some new feature. With software, it's no different. If you look back to when software first came into the construction industry, there was a lot of retrofits where I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Silicon Valley. I think they have their place. It's just not in the construction industry. What happened was they took a lot of software that wasn't designed for the construction industry, and they said, if it works over here, it will work in construction. Rolled this stuff out. There was a lot of excitement, and then the software couldn't do what it needed to do. The industry got jaded when it came to software. And they're like, nope, not going to go down that road. Now times are catching up where people understand you have to build software for the construction industry first. And then maybe it works other places, maybe it doesn't, but you can't retrofit software into this industry. And that right there, I think, is the biggest lie that's told about construction and software, is that I believe we are early adapters. The situation just didn't develop how it could have for us to do it with software. Because when you look around, we use the newest, latest, greatest. We want that stuff as an industry, but just not software. And I think it's just because a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth of how it originally went down. And that's starting to change.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I can see that a lot of software tries to be copy and paste, at least the old softwares. So I can see what you're saying about
Yep.
you kind of being an early adapter now. So let's see. How about the systems that you use within your own software? What gives you the most visibility in like task automation or helps you run things more simply like you try to do for the construction industry?
Yeah. So, I mean, we use a lot of AI in the background. I mean, that's what allows us to be super responsive. It's not necessarily about automations. You can automate everything to death and it doesn't necessarily do a whole lot of stuff. But what you can do is you can use AI to just make everything better in your business, make you better, make everything more efficient. If I can use AI to help bring somebody up to speed quicker with our software, then getting on an hour call with me, that to me is a good use of AI. Like that is something that we can start to weave in here. Now, people are still going to want to get on an hour call, but that's just what it is. That's where we're at in this world. I believe in keeping me as at the forefront in dealing with our clients as possible. So we use as much stuff in the background to take the typical stuff that founders are just sitting around twiddling their thumbs on off of my plate so I can do what's really matters, which is talking to our customers and our clients and figuring out what do they need or where's the hangups. And I believe that is like, if you're looking at the automations, like that's why you should automate stuff. It's why you should implement AI into your business, is to allow you to focus on something like that that's very important to your company. And I think we kind of get that backwards, where we automate the customer deal and remove us from that. When I think we should be using AI to make the customer deal as flawless as it possibly can, but it's with us. And then you use the automations and AI in the background to just do the meaningless tasks that I think a lot of people are still sitting around doing, because if they would get rid of them, they would literally have nothing to do because they've just moved themselves out of everything. And that's my goal, is to move myself out of everything besides doing like demo and onboarding cars and looking at the high value activities for the company.
Yeah, so using it to take out all that boring manual stuff that could normally take a few hours, but you need to focus your time on those human touch points, like you were saying, talking to clients. Because on our last call, you were saying how the construction industry is just so human, if that can make sense,
Mhm.
talking to each other all the time.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I think it'll continue to be that way. We're still an industry of handshake deals. I believe it doesn't have to be that way with software, but you have to build that trust factor with them beforehand. But yeah, I mean, it's about taking all the data you have and being able to analyze it and understand it. Like software for me is owning a software company. It's the same thing as for a construction business. Like if you don't put the data into BuilderComs, you don't get the results. Same thing with the software I use internally. If we don't put the data in, I don't get the results. The high level numbers in your business, like you should be able to see those in 2 seconds if you're not staring at them all the time. Like you should know, what are you doing in revenue? What you like for us, it's churn, revenue, like what's our retention rate? Like how long are people sticking around? How many inquiries are we getting for customer support? Because that right there is the main driver to me on if it's simple or not. Like if I'm getting a ton of customer support tickets coming in, something is broken in our software. It's not, something's not, if they can't figure it out and we're getting a ton of customer service tickets, something's broken. So like you just need to know what all your key things you need to pay attention to, and then make sure that data is accurate and in front of you so you can pay attention to it and drive the ship.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. So are those some of the features that you're trying to implement into your software, BuilderComs, to make sure that the everyone that uses it has the same kind of visibility within their metrics, like dashboards?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're doing in the new version is our old dashboard was completely just kind of static. Like it was what it was. Like I built it for myself. That's what it was. Some of the feedback was people would like to be able to put the information they want on there. So our new dashboard would be customizable to the data, the projects, the information that you want to see when you log in. It's all still there, but you don't have to see it all, or you don't have to see exactly what Ron Nussbaum used to want to see. And that's the thing. It's like everybody's different. So what I want to see is different than what Bob wants to see. And we needed to create a way so everybody could see what they wanted to. So our dashboard where actually you'll be able to control the, I guess they call it widgets on there. I call them cards, but you'll be able to control what you actually see when you log in.
Okay, awesome. That's amazing. So then I'll stick with the differentiating yourself, being different in general. So you mentioned a date, like a rollout date. I mean, you didn't specify and you don't have to, but how are you going to navigate pricing philosophy compared to a lot of the other platforms out there?
So I charge per project. I don't charge per user. That's not the norm in the software world, but I believe that's how it should be. I don't think you should be penalized for bringing more people on to a platform that makes you more efficient and runs your business better. It shouldn't be a deterrent. Like we're a messaging platform at heart. That's how we started out. It's still the core. I need stakeholders involved in the software. Like if you decide you're going to leave somebody out, that can completely change that conversation that is had. And we need all of that to happen within BuilderComs to get an actual accurate picture on what's happening. So all pricing's cut and dry, just like everything I do. Like if you start to look at Ron Nussbaum and BuilderComs, like we're just pretty cut and dry. It's black and white. Like this is what it costs and this is what you get. And we're going to stick to that even as we roll out more features. It's going to become more expensive because, I mean, why wouldn't it? Like we add more
Yeah.
value, it costs more money. So that will come into play. But our core methodology when it comes to pricing is don't charge per user. No contracts. You can buy our software annually, but like I'm not locked. I don't need to lock you into a 5-year deal. That's up to you on how you want to engage with us from that perspective. But that's not like I'm not going to force that down your throat. And then just keep it simple. It doesn't have to be confusing with a bunch of like, oh, if you do A, Y, and Z and then X happens, I'm going to charge you 0.505% of your revenue. How about we just charge people a fair price that allows us to be in business, that allows them to utilize the software, and let's see where it can possibly get us.
Yeah, awesome. I think that pricing strategy sounds like it'll work much better than what's out there right now. So with your customer discovery that you've been doing for the past few months, how do you decide like build versus integrate? So when it comes to like their scheduling processes or invoicing, what do you do that makes sure he doesn't break that simplicity promise?
Mm. See, that's a great question. Because it starts to become a fork in the road. Like where do you try to help people integrate what they already use into your software, or where does your software take over? we've always been very flexible and very lenient with integrations. One of our biggest problems has been what I don't consider to be competition prior, not being interested in integrating with us because they looked at us as competition, even though we're just a messaging platform. Now we're going to do a lot more. So we'll take them on. Yes, I am now competition, but I've always believed like what our customers really want is they just want everything to talk to each other. Like they want all the tours to just be intertwined and everything can talk to the other. So I do my absolute best to facilitate that as much as I possibly can. We have a Zap currently built out. We will have another Zap for the new version. We will integrate with anybody that wants to come along and integrate with us. Construction industry is just not a very collaborative space when it comes to software. And you feel that pain in the industry and in our users when stuff just doesn't talk to each other and that's all they want. So I want to be the main data hub that our users use every day, but I want to help facilitate getting that data in there the easiest way I possibly can. And if that is through integrations, it'll be through integrations. I am not scared of other companies integrating with our software.
Yeah, that's great. That's definitely something that I've been seeing too is consolidating everything into one within the construction industry is such an issue and task to kind of get going in the future. So that's great if you're trying to.
I mean, there's a lot of private equity companies out there right now trying to figure this out.
Mm,
They're trying to figure out how they can take all these different pieces of project management software and bundle them into one product, but no one's been able to do it at scale yet.
mm.
It's an interesting deal. I think if anybody else out there is a founder of a software company in this space, I believe having an open mind is the best thing we can do going forward because that's what our customers really want us to do. Like they truly want us to figure out ways to work together and they are not afraid to have different subscriptions that do different things if we just all talk to each other. I think the rub comes when you have different subscriptions and you got to enter the data twice so it doesn't ebb and flow right. That's where there's a rub. If it works seamlessly, there's not a rub created. It's just like I pay this vendor for that piece and this vendor for this piece, but it all works together and it gets the job done.
Yeah, there needs to be those customer-centric values at all times. Even if, say, merging with another company could kind of hurt the entrepreneurial ego, it all needs to be focused on the customer. So I get what
Mhm.
you're saying. That makes a lot of sense.
I just believe in if you go like my goal is to fix communication in the construction industry. And like if just stay focused on that for all customers and just say, just like with the super snipper software, like at all stakes, we have to do that. Like if at all stakes we're doing what moves that forward, it'll all work out. Or
Yeah,
somebody comes and
absolutely.
does whatever. I don't know. Like I don't see a bad where if I'm doing what's right for all customers, the construction industry, and I'm doing it with the right intentions, like I'm not ill-willed about this, like I'm doing it for all the right reasons. Why wouldn't it eventually end up working out?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how it should be. So I love that. So let's zoom out to the kind of the bigger picture in the next 12 months. So where do you see BuilderComs in the next 12 months? What are your goals? What would make that 12 months a success to you?
Yeah, so I mean 12 months that we're rolling this out. We have a solid user base now, and I would like to put on, I wouldn't like a good next 12 months would be getting up to 1,500 active paid use, like people that are actually paying to use our software, not just any of the free trial stuff. Daily users, like people that are daily using our software, if get it to 1,500 companies. That's my next mission. It's like I've spent all this time on figuring out the product, doing the customer interviews, For 3 years, I haven't worried about revenue. I bootstrap this. What's great is I don't have investors, which has allowed me to do this however I wanted to do it. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we will figure all of that out at the end of the day. When the journey's done for Ron on this, we'll look back and say he was right or he was wrong on this. I spent 3 years doing what most people are unwilling to do. Just burn money into a company, take no salary, learn from our customers, iterate on the product, and then say, this is what our customers want. Let's build it and let's bring it to market. I feel like what we are bringing to market is the piece of software that the construction industry not only needs, but it truly wants. So over the next 12 months, my mission is to get it in as many people's hands as possible, drive our revenue. Like that's so we can then go out and do even greater things. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we can only be as great as Ron Nussbaum's budget currently is. And that's not as great as I believe we are. So I'm going to turn my focus into going out and scaling our paid user base.
Yeah, that's incredible. You put so much time into the constant iteration of the product, but now you want to reach that 1,500 customers by the next 12 months. So hypothetically, let's say you have a magic wand, right? What's one thing that's maybe holding you back or slowing you down that you think you would want to change to make sure you get to that 1,500 companies goal by next year?
I mean, in construction software, it's all brand and brand recognition. I think that's one of, so I think that's one of our advantages making this pivot is like, I'm not just a new kid on the block with another project management software. We're not even going to be a full suite. Like we're still who we are as a company, but we've started to build this brand. I have that time invested in that. People know BuilderComs. They just don't know it at the scale. So if I could wave a magic wand, it would be to accelerate our brand recognition within the construction space to where even if you don't do business with us, you know who we are. And that right there is the difference because like people, hey, I'm a huge Grant Cardone guy. And if they don't know you, they can't flow you. And it's the same thing in construction software. If they don't know you, they will use one of your competitors. And
Yeah,
you have
definitely.
a very small window for them to know you and get involved with you. Because once people start using project management software, they stick with it. And I'm talking about it's estimated that 40 to 60% of the construction industry currently does not use software, and it's fastly where they want to implement this. So I have a small window to get these millions of businesses out there to know who BuilderComs is, what we stand for, what we do, and get my software in front of them before they make a decision to do something with one of our competitors. So that would be the magic wand, would just be brand awareness.
Yeah, with that statistic, this is the prime time to get your brand out there and make sure that everything's flowing good for the next year. So I'll ask you one more question. What would be some lasting advice that you'd want to give to founders that are building for first-time tech adopters, maybe specifically in construction or not even construction?
So the biggest advice I can give anybody is action matters more than anything. It's really easy to just sit still and do nothing, but it's the action. You have to take action. If you have a vision, you can get it done. I believe that if you have a vision and dreams, God gave it to us because you are capable of doing it. The only thing that nobody else can control for you on that is the action to get it done. That's solely what you control. So if you have a vision, if you are building anything, it's the action because the action will lead to what the next steps need to be. It's not about knowing any of that. It's just about taking the action and saying, okay, so that happened, take another action and then take another action after that. That's the greatest thing we can do is when it's hard, when you're tired, when you're excited, when it's going great, when you wish a bus would run you over, you have to just take an action. You just have to do something that moves it forward. And that's the greatest piece of advice I can give anybody.
I love that. Action can make dreams come true. Well, thank you, Ron. That's some incredible advice. We'll wrap it up there. If you're a builder who wants clean client communications without the bloat, check out BuilderComs. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and share with another builder or founder in your circle. But before we go, Ron, where should people connect with you? Website, LinkedIn?
Yeah, BuilderComs, COMS.com's our website. There's a lot of great stuff on there, not even BuilderComs related, from articles and how-tos and all of that kind of stuff. A bunch of free resources that aren't all jammed up by emails either. You just get on there and digest the free resources. You can check out Construction Champions podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and I am anywhere you could possibly digest social media. You can find Ron Nussbaum, and I look forward to connecting.
Awesome. Well, to the audience, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode of The Intelligent Builder.